I'm very much alive today. Really happy to be back with you to talk about secret weapons and what we have, what we can use when we talk to our clients and to grow our business. So the idea of secret weapons is really there are many. There are many different things that we can use, but I have found that there's something in particular that is the key weapon that we can have in our business. And the reason I say is because for those of you who don't know me, I have been I was a photographer. I am a photographer. I was a portrait and wedding photographer. Now I don't do weddings anymore. But when I first started, I had to get my business running very, very, very quickly. I had to make it profitable within the course of a few months, the first year, and so I found some things that really worked for me. And because I'm an entrepreneur at heart and I know about business, I discovered system ways and things that really worked well. And so this is one of the things that really, really made a difference in what I built my business on. So we talked this morning. If you haven't heard me this morning, there is another talk that you can access. And we talked about the market and the changes that are going to happen, the changes that are happening now, and how the market and the world for us is going to be post-COVID. So go and see that if you haven't seen it. And over there, I said that, we don't sell ink and paper. And that's something that I always say in my courses. I have a course and I've been working with hundreds of photographers over the past few years on their business, not on their photography, but on their business. So we have, like I said, different weapons, which are, marketing, sales systems, even ease of payments, and all sorts of ways where we can make it easier and, to either get clients, make things for clients and sell our images to them. But definitely the biggest weapon for a photographer is printing. Printing images is what will make the difference between this income and that income. It really can, double, triple, quadruple, and tenfold your income. And in this next half an hour or so, we're gonna see exactly why and exactly how to do it. So this is not just if you've never printed. This little half-hour thing is also if you are printing, but maybe you haven't quite got the results that you want in terms of income that you're hoping. So our biggest weapon is printing, for the very, very simple reason that it is what will differentiate you from the so-called shoot and burners. And shooting and burning is what we call, photographers who do a shooting session and then just give out all the files or a number of files and don't really do anything else. And we have seen this morning that this market is hard and it's going to get harder. So to actually raise the level of our game, we need to be able to provide a better service. And it is a full service. A full photography service will take the client from the first booking to managing their session and preparing for it and giving them all the support they need and help and advice and all of that. And then there is the session. So the experience of all that is really important. But at the end, choosing the photos, helping them choose the best, and then printing them in some amazing products, that is exactly the thing that will make you stand out, and will also be the thing that will make people spend more money. Because a digital file, we talked this morning about perceived value of our business, but the perceived value of what a client gets at the end of the game, at the end of their session and their booking and all of that, everything we do with them, a file has zero perceived value. A file is, what we call in Italy, we call things that have no substance, we call it fried air. And I like that idea. It's nothing. You can fry it, you can bake it, you can roast it, it's still air. So this is what a file means. Most people attach absolutely no value to files, but they want them all, right? So we're going to see how that goes. And how we're going to maybe switch from files to prints, or if you're beginning to print, how to do it better. And if you hang about till the end, there's some really good things for you at the end of this. So, yeah, I'm excited. So first of all, the first thing that we need to think about is that we are not doing our clients any favors when we're just giving them files, for two reasons. One is there is no screen on earth, and I use an ASO, which is the best ever, okay? But there is no screen on earth, no OLED, no nothing, that is as good as a state-of-the-art print. There is no comparison. So what our clients are seeing their photos on their iPads, on their phones, or on their laptops or computers, whatever they are, the screens are not calibrated. They're definitely not monitors. They're not high-end anything. And what do they see? Weird colors? Definition? My goodness, you don't want to know. And so they're not really seeing your photos. So they're not even enjoying the beauty of whatever you created for them at its best. So that alone is the reason why we shouldn't be giving out just files. If they have a print and a file, then they can see the difference, and it is a big difference. So what do they see? That's the first thing that I think about. And also the other thing is like they lose them. They lose them, their phones break, their hard drives break or something, they lose all their files, they come back to you to ask for them again, and you may have them or not have them. And then anyway, technology changes. You put these photos on a CD, it's like putting them on a floppy disk now, a CD, nobody reads CDs anymore. And whatever we do now, USB keys, whatever, these things fail. They just, but I'm sure you've heard all this before. So I'm just kind of recapping something that a lot of people know, but you really need to think about. But the main thing is, if I want to give the best service to a client, I am not doing them a favor by giving them digital files and not giving them the option to print, for a very simple reason that you may say, okay, I give them files and then they can print them. Not all printing is the same. I have my files perfectly color corrected to go to my printers so they can get exactly what I made and put it in a print. And if you are giving out a file and there's, getting it printed at the shop down the road, God knows which color is going to come out, because printers have to be calibrated, and most places, especially cheaper places, don't do it. So not all printing is the same. And this is also for those of you who are already printing and maybe printing in a sort of non-high-end, not very professional lab, or something that is, sort of online printing type of thing. There are lots of bad quality products. There's an awful lot of fake fine art. Now everything is fine art, but nah, a lot of it is not fine art. And then the other question is, why should your clients pay more? Because obviously coming through you're going to charge a bit more for your printed products. Why should they pay more if they can get the same thing themselves? If you're making an album on Apple or Blurb or any of those Pixar printing things, or if you're printing with online services that they have access to, why should they pay more to get it printed through you? There is absolutely no reason. You're not giving a high quality product. So we must have something different that is not available to them. There are professional labs all over the place that only print for photographers. They do not print for what I call muggles, non-photographers. So this is really important. This is a really important point, because there's also some professional labs that print for photographers, but they also print for directly for, you know, brides and clients and, you know, private people, individuals. So choosing a company that is really strict about this and allows us to have some products that are not available to the general public, and that makes it more valuable, that makes it special. It is also usually much better quality than what our clients can get by themselves. So we must have a higher quality, and the emotional value of these things is so high because their photos are in it, that we really have to, you know, have something that is guaranteed for generations, really, because we all have our grandparents' photos and, you know, our ancestor photos up to a point, but our parents and our grandparents, and maybe even photos of ourselves when we were small, of course, the printing quality at that time was not very good. And so our pictures are now all green and pink and lost their colors, which is a shame, but there's not much we can do about it. Now, what people don't really think about, and they're not aware, even photographers, and you know, have you ever thought about this? Because it's really 1 out of 100 has thought about this. The quality of photography has gone up with digital cameras, all this stuff is, you know, the technology has improved tremendously. And we all know that. But what we don't realize is that the technology in printing has improved a gazillion tremendously time. I know that's not proper English, but you know what I mean. So our prints now, the quality of printing is so incredible. It's almost like 3D sometimes, some of the things that I see. It is so fantastic that there is no comparison with what people normally think of as a print, a photographic print, or, you know, an album or something that they may have seen from, you know, times past, or maybe they have photos put in an album, like, you know, glued in or something. There's no comparison with what you can do now. So it's up to us to really introduce our clients to this special, amazing, wonderful printing. These are pieces of history for this family, or for this, you know, I say to when I did weddings, I used to say, this is the first piece of history, first piece of the history of your family, because they start a family when they get married, and then they're going to have more. They're going to have, you know, the baby book, and, or if they have children, or, you know, just their portraits maybe in years to come. So having something that can withstand time and is guaranteed for generations and is incredibly well made and built to last and of incredible high quality because they use the latest and best technology, that is what we want. And that is what we want to offer our clients. So I know there's a few technical challenges here, because, you know, I'm always asked, oh, you know, but how do I print? I'm not sure about how to, you know, get things printed. I'm not sure if you know, what are the profiles? What do I do? How do I do this? And this is a whole technical thing in itself. I actually recorded a free training for the Photographers Guild a few months ago on color management and color correction. So those of you who are in my group, and if you're not, join Outside the Box Evolution on Facebook and leave your email address and website. And so you also get emails about the other things that I'm going to tell you in a minute. But anyway, then you can, I just set up a platform that you can then join, and I will be loading up these trainings that I have for you to watch. And so if that can be useful, I'm sure it can be useful. If that's something that you feel you need to brush up on, you know, I'd be really happy to make that available to you. So Outside the Box Evolution on Facebook. So what do we print? what do we print? We definitely want to do better, higher quality prints, right? So there are some great photographic prints. Some companies do it better than others, definitely. But also, there's high definition prints and fine art prints, and they are the thing now. But you need to make sure that it's the real thing, not just somebody calling fine art what is not fine art, or calling HD what is not high definition. So remember that fine art is not a style, it's a paper and a type of printing. So there needs to be certain things in place, which we won't go into right now in terms of the quality of the paper and the inks employed and the way it's being printed. But so there's better, higher quality prints, which I always advise to put in mats, because going back to the perceived value of things, the perceived value of a matted print, a really thick, high quality mat, is way higher than a little piece of, this. Even if the picture is the same and the print quality is the same, it really has a different perceived value. So I always think that to offer a matted print instead of a normal print really makes it a lot easier to sell it for a higher price. So, and we're going to talk about pricing a little bit later. So the other thing obviously is albums. If we have a high quality album, we can put some photos in there and it holds a lot of photos in there. But it's also easy to have an upsell, to add pages to it. And so having an album and adding pages to it will definitely make it a little bit easier to help our clients, buy more from us, because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We are in this business to make money, and we want to make as much as we can without being pushy or salesy or any of that stuff, because nobody likes to do that. But we want to be selling as much as we can of beautiful things, get our clients to bring home as much as they can, and just, love what they have. So, and the last thing that we can do is to actually add wall art to our offers. And so big, wonderful pieces to display in their homes. There is a huge psychological value in having family portraits on the walls, on display in your home. And there's a lot about that. Children who grow up in homes when they see themselves daily as part of the family unit, and they see it because it's printed, it's not a file at the bottom of some phone. They actually grow up with a sense of identity that's completely different from children who never see themselves together with their other family members. There's studies behind this, and it's a really important point. There are so many psychological aspects of portrait photography, and portrait photographers probably know a lot about this. But it's worth mentioning that having your family on the wall actually helps your kids grow up with a different sense of identity in relation to the family, which really comes out in teenage years when they start, building their own self-identity. They still feel like they're part of a unit. Unlike children who don't have that, and then they really feel a disconnect, and it's harder to get through that. I'm myself, but I'm also with family. So I won't spend a long time on this, but having family portraits on the wall is really important. They can be wedding photos, or they can be your self-portraits, not self, I mean individual portraits. And it's just something incredibly valuable in the life of the families that we photograph. Now, people may think, right, you have to design albums and you have to, show this wall art on their people's walls to make them, it really does help to actually show what a combination of photos on a wall would look like. Sometimes even taking our clients' walls to show what they would look like on, with their sofa or in their bedrooms. and albums also have to be designed. So I know that that is a bit of a sticky point for a lot of people, because designing albums is a lot of work, and making these Photoshop, mock-ups is also hard to show people what it would look like and the right sizes and all of that. So I have been working very closely for a number of years with Fundy Designer, which is an incredible software that does all this for you at the touch of a button, literally, really, really simply. And I have asked for them, I've asked them to do an offer for my followers and students. And so if you use Fab 2021, you're going to get 25% off the Fundy Designer software. So this, I'm just throwing this out there because I know some people know it, and maybe you've been thinking about getting it for a while. Some people don't know it, and so I encourage you to check it out. I think there's a free trial as well. And so I just got this a few days ago from them for the photography show, and I'm really pleased that I can pass this on to you. So Fab 2021, if you're into that. But it will, whichever software, there are many, you decide to use. I personally think this is the best. But whichever way you want to design your albums and wall art, this is just an extra job, obviously, that you're going to do, but that you will be paid wonderfully for. So it's totally worth looking into. Now, what to print? How do we print? Now, how do we choose a printing company? High quality. Go for the best that you can. And I'm not going to make any bones about this. I work with Graphic Studio, and I also have something to help people work with them if you so, and I will tell you in a minute. But that, of course, they're not the only high quality printing company in the world, but I believe they're in the top 3. And when we choose the products that we want to offer our clients, we're looking for high, beautiful, wonderful design in the actual albums. We don't want to have something that you could get anywhere that looks like everything else. So to me, design is really important. High value, perceived value. When you touch something, when you hold something in your hand, it needs to be like wonderful, solid, tactile, especially since, most of our clients are women, and we definitely love to touch things. And this is like something that really, really makes a difference when you're touching something that feels or smells. The leather, all of those things, things that really are sensory rich. To me, that is a must. And also, I only want to work with one supplier if I can help it. Even at the beginning of my business, I was always trying to, and I wasn't working with them right at the beginning, but I was always trying to work with one, maximum 2 suppliers, because it makes your life so much easier. Not to have, my albums come from here, my prints come from there, and the wall art comes from there, and then other things, little boxes come from there. It becomes an absolute nightmare. Also, there's a ton of shipping costs that you can avoid. But most of all, I want a company that I wanted, but you want a company that can partner with you, that can really become part of your team, somebody that helps you grow, gives you the information that you need, especially if you're starting or if you are starting with them, to really help you choose the right things and make the best offers to your clients. So the easiest way to sell to your clients is to have something that perfectly fits them, that is just perfect for them, and that if you don't know, if you're not sure, they can tell you and they can advise you and they can help you also find the right words and the right ways and the right things to say about this or that album or product, so that you can, so it's easier, it makes your life easier to sell these things. Now, people buy what they see. People buy what they see, what they can touch. They fall in love with things they can hold. Nobody falls in love with the picture of an album. They fall in love when they actually hold it. and smell it and all of that. So I have been working with Graphy for a number of years, and I have finally, this is not exactly, sorry, no, yeah, put some juice in my box here. We've come up with a selection that I made for them. It's called the Fab Selection, and it's going to be active in a couple of weeks. And if you follow me, sign up, send me messages, I'll let you know when it's on. And it's just to have 50% off samples. It's a selection of samples that I chose, that I think that it's my guidance for people who start to want to start printing and they don't know where to start. What do I get? What is the best thing? Companies like Graphy do so many things that it's really difficult to know where to start and what are the things that sell like hotcakes right off the bat, the things that are easier to sell and why, and to which kind of client you have. So I've done this with them because that's who I work with, and they were incredibly gracious to work on this project with me. So now the Fab Selection is going to be quite a long list of Graphy products of different values, and a few that are coming out. And normally they do special offers that last about a week or so, but with this you have a year to build up your samples, and so it's quite a different thing, and you have 50% off things. It's a 50% off, it's an off thing on these things. I really want to make things easy. My main concern is to help the industry grow and change and raise the level. I don't make any money on this thing at all. This is just something that I really wanted to do for the photographers that I work with, and by extension I can extend it to you, so that's fantastic. So I'll try to help at every step, and this is just one of the things that can really make a difference, because building samples is not cheap. When you want high quality products, you can learn how to sell better quality products and higher end products, but building the first samples so you can actually put them in your clients' hands. So this is just I think it's going to be a good help for you to do that. So last thing, few minutes, and then we're going to have some questions, is what if clients say, what, you don't give me files? What's going on? Of course, I want all the files, or all of that. So what to say? We need to change not just this, not just the fact that we don't give files alone anymore, but actually to change, like we've seen, all our offer and our service. And we talked about this a bit more this morning. So we can say, I'm not doing you a favor if I don't print for you, because you can't get this stuff. You can't get something so beautiful if you just go out and, print a little file somewhere in the corner shop. So I've decided that I'm going to run a full service business, because this is what my clients really want. These things are heirlooms. These things are the history of your family. And I think educate, start talking about all this. And actually, when people see again and touch and feel what you're talking about, a lot of people really want prints. A lot of people really understand the value and the difference that there is from what they've always seen and what you're actually putting in front of them. So it is a lot easier as it goes on, because there is a return to wanting your photos printed, definitely. And the difficulty is when if your prints are too low in price, then there is a difficulty. People say, oh, but I can print for £1, 50 cents or something, 50p. Yeah, those are not my pictures though, right? So we don't sell paper and ink. It's back to our images and how much they are worth. The time and effort we put in making them is worth printing them on some really, really good support, what we call it, product. So we can talk more about this next Saturday. I'm doing a live Zoom call in the afternoon, I think around 4:30. So if you contact me, get in touch with me, go to fabriziacosta-otb.com. I'm also going to start my OTB course, which will be at 50% off for TPS people. So that in the next few days. Right now, I'm going to take some questions so that we stay with this topic right now. And if if Hazel is around, she can come and ask me and see what your questions have been. And then everything else you can contact me and find out about a bit later, because we'll have more time next week. Hi. Oh, there you are.
Hello, I am here. Thank you very much, Fabrizia. We've had a couple of questions. Somebody has asked for your social media links, so I'll put those on the session page once this is finished.
Yeah.
But Fabrizia, do you want to do a quick session link?
On Facebook is Fabrizia Costa. On Instagram is Fabrizia.Costa. And then if you go on Facebook, it's Outside the Box Evolution. And you can ask to join that group. Just write your photographer, your website, and your email, because I don't want it to be like everybody comes in. It's just for photographers. It's only on business. So we're not talking about images and how good you are in there, but all of this stuff. And it's not like it hasn't been incredibly active. So there's some things in there, but not a lot. But now it's going to be because I'm going to put this stuff in there.
And Anna has said, what advice do you have for pro photographers starting out in terms of making those relationships with the kind of high-end printers, and what's your kind of priority? What should your priority be in that respect?
I think if you start off with high end, with high quality products, it just sets you up on a level that can really allow you to grow. I don't know if you followed the talk this morning, but go and listen to that. And then join me next Saturday so we can talk more about this. So this thing about building samples with graphics is going to help tremendously. But whoever you decide to work with, you can build the best samples that you can, which doesn't mean getting the top high-end super expensive albums from these companies. You want to have the best company and then start from their lower end products, which are excellent anyway, right? Rather than have a lower end company and having to get their top of the range stuff because everything else is not good enough. It's better to do that so that you start from things that are not outrageously expensive, but incredibly nice. And then for your higher end clients, maybe in a few months, years, however fast you're going to grow. And if you're starting out, definitely learn business, contact me, and then think about that kind of. But even, and then, like I'm saying, I'm joking. Outside the Box is great, but there are definitely other coaches out there. But think about the business, not just the photography. That is one very important thing.
And another question we've had in terms of time frame. There's a lot of, especially around weddings, a lot of customers seem to wait quite a long time for their printed products, and we think that can put people off. What would be your advice around kind of time frames, and what would you expect from yourself between in that?
Yeah, people get upset when expectations are not met. But I also say, so the thing is, like, if you say, oh, this is going to be done in a week, and then it takes 2 months, and the best things take time. Albums like Graphia are handmade. They don't come back in a week, because you can't. They're supposed to last you a lifetime. So it's going to take some time, depending on which it is. Some things take, a long time to make. I also believe that is true of photography. I don't believe in the fact that you do something and immediately it's ready. You get sneak peeks the same day or things the same night. I don't I don't like that. My clients know that they come back to see their photos in 2 to 4 weeks, in a couple of weeks, usually when we do family photography. And if it's for weddings, they go on a honeymoon, and when they come back, it's usually about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, when they can come and see their photos. And then we decide what to do. And then it may take a month or 2 weeks, or however long it takes to get their printed products done. This is not a fast food business. A higher end photography business is not a fast business. People used to wait for developers and labs and things. And now everything is like click, print out of the Instamax. That is, I love Polaroids. I can shoot a whole thing in Polaroid. There you have it. It's printed, but it's a different thing, right? So if you want something really well made, it's worth waiting for. And that's what I tell my clients. Never, ever have I had a problem with that, ever.
Okay, thank you. And just going back to the margins question, can you make money out of printed products, or is it, is that just an accessory to your proposition?
No, exactly. The secret weapon is because this is where you make the most money. If you don't print, you're leaving thousands of pounds on the table, hundreds to start with, thousands as you go on. Definitely, because you are multiplying the cost of your products by 3 or 4, and that's like normal. So you are actually making the money, because the cost of a session never covers anything. I mean, the cost of a session to me is basically so to make sure that the client turns up. It doesn't really pay. It what, 200, 300 pounds, whatever it may be. You don't really make that much on the session. And then maybe you sell a package of files, which is a few £100, whatever, some cost more, some cost less. But, how do you get to the 1,000, 2,000 plus 3,000 sales? You don't get there with digital files. You definitely get there with albums and wall art and boxes of beautiful prints, because those things have a high perceived value, and therefore you can put a higher value on them. You don't start off that way, obviously, because your business has to be in line with that sort of pricing, but you definitely can double and triple what you pay and make the money that the time that you spend designing the album, choosing the photos, having the clients back to look at pictures with you. All of that is part of your service, and your service is something that people pay for. And your service is what people will pay for. They value that more than your photography. I know
Lovely.
It doesn't sound fantastic, but it is true.
Makes a lot of sense. Could you please repeat the name of the lab that you use for printing?
I use Graphi Studio. It's in Italy. They do everything by hand. They are incredible. And we will have this special thing, get in touch. And if you follow me on social media, you'll see it when it's active. They tried to do it for the photography show, but they have just revamped the whole website and ordering system. They couldn't make it happen just yet, but it will be there definitely before the end of March. So if you want to give them a shot, this is definitely a good time to do it. And what else can I say? Yeah, graphistudio.com is who they are.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Right. So anyway, next Saturday, you can join me and we can talk more about this. It'll be a Zoom call with lots of Q&A time, and we can dig deeper into all sorts of things you might want to ask.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Fabrizia. I think that's pretty much all we have time for now. It's been great to see you and learn a bit about printing and what some people miss on their proposition. Thank you very much. And any questions, you can carry on the chat, and I'm sure Fabrizia will answer once we've sent her those questions, if there are any. Lovely. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.